we count with the presence of José Luis Urquijo, president of the RFEAGAS. We count on Leonor Algarra Solís, José Luis Urquijo, and Dr. Luis Planes. Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon to all. Javier, president and friend here in Salamanca. Representative of the Ministry of Agriculture. Maria, as the president of the Spanish Institute of Foreign Trade, and to all the associations of purebred breeders that are here, and other colleagues and friends that are with us in person, and to our friends that are here virtually from several parts of Spain. I would like to warmly welcome all the participants of this first session organized within the Livestock Genetics Association within the framework of Salamanca. I wish you a very fruitful week here in our country. I'd like to thank you warmly and greatly. From the Royal Federation here, we have been working in internalizing our genetics. However, this is due to the work of our geneticists, our breeders within our country, and this improvement would not have been possible with the arduous work of all our researchers. This technical session is here to introduce part of our genetics and all our work developed in the last few times. We're going to visit labs throughout all of this week so you can see firsthand our selection here in the country. We will see that it is an initial project known as Livestock Genetics Solving, as a platform to work together in the improvement of the genetics of our cattle. We have the greatest sanitary and genetic guarantees here. Anyone that wants to learn and have animal genetics in our country can do so throughout the platform. They can count on the participation of our highest level institutions. Before finishing, I would like to warmly thank Luis Canas, our Minister of Agriculture, for having worked with us hand in hand. It is the highest guarantee of success. This is why livestock genetics is also a success. Thank you to all. I hope it is a very fruitful session. I give the floor to my colleague. Dear José Luis, President of RFEAGAS, thank you so much for your invitation. It is an honor to be here with you all in such an important day in which such good news are heard. Thank you so much for being here. Mrs. Leonor Algarra Solís, dear Manuel, it is a pleasure to welcome you all to this session of LAMAC 2021. It is a very special session because it is the first great Spanish livestock fair celebrated in this special manner in this post-COVID year. This is why it has a special meaning to us. Salamanca is a great reference in the primary sector in Spain, especially in livestock sector, with a population, first to get an idea, general image of Salamanca province of over a few thousand people, and 600,000 heads of cattle. We could get to, both with bovine and porcine, over 1,500,000 heads of cattle for a population of fewer people. It is a livestock tradition that has existed for aeons, and we have the adequate, appropriate structure to protect the best select livestock that can be obtained in Spain. Salamanca is a great mirror, which is why the government of Salamanca every year organizes the most complete primary sector fair within Spain. I'd like to welcome the 14 members of the other delegation that for the first time is here in Spain due to RFEAGAS, and I'd like to thank the trust that José Luis has given us to introduce this first edition that your federation is promoting, doing so in Salamanca, this great showcasing window of the primary sector. To conclude, I wish to highlight the magnificent work that Spanish breeders and livestock farmers have been doing, perhaps not for so many years, because Spain used to not be in an advantage position 30 or 40 years ago. Right now, we can say satisfactorily and very proudly, we may say that Spanish cattle farmers are within the first livestock farmers in Salamanca, Spain. We have done a great job in many years, not just in this year. In this fair, we wish to promote the best expo of pure cattle here in Spain and the best pure breed cattle here expo in Europe. This is the showcasing of Spain, and I may say, after a few years from what we've seen in our land in the last few years, the spectacular results due to the breeders and livestock farmers here in Salamanca and in Spain is within the best in the world. So congratulations to all. Spanish genetics is starting to have a great impact among the best in the world. Spain is a great power in the primary sector. It is also in livestock. It is an honor to receive all of you with open arms on the part of RFEAGAS. And that's it. I hope this meeting can get to a safe haven, and I'd like to congratulate you all, José Luis, for the initiative, and I wish the results and the success to be not only present in this edition, but many others. You are in your home. Congratulations, and I would love to see you again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lastly, I give the floor to Doña Leonor Algarra Solís, Secretary General of Means of Livestock Production. I wish her to dedicate a few words to this session. Good afternoon to all. I wish to extend thank you to my colleagues here present, Luis, Manuel, and especially you from livestock or farmer organizations, without which we wouldn't be here. I would like to welcome this group of representatives of my country, We count with representatives from countries such as Argentina, Colombia, Romania, Brazil, Uzbekistan, and we hope that this session is for them a path to understand the success, satisfactions here of the livestock sector in Spain. I hope this session is a success. That they can see the advancement of genetics here in Brazil and all the quality of our livestock. Without further ado, I give the floor to our minister, Luis Planas, which very kindly has asked to be present here in this inauguration, in this meeting, and because of the schedule couldn't be here, but has shared with us these welcome words. I think I have nothing else to add. I give the floor to the minister, which will extend welcome words. Thank you very much. Good morning. I'd like to greet all the participants here of this meeting with a new edition of RFEAGAS. We are here in a very different situation than it was 5 years ago. In this important international meeting. Today we can be proud for many reasons. This is a collective success. Most of our population is completely vaccinated. We are seeing a very positive trend. The livestock in Spain is a part of this spirit of surpassing that has driven us toward the path of economic and social recuperation here in our country. Spain is one of the great livestock powers at the European and world level. In 2020, the animal production has gone beyond 20 billion euros, and the trend is still very solid. The production is geared toward foreign markets and export. This is why we are leaders within porcine exports. We believe in internationalization of beef and also sheep. This wouldn't be possible without the quality and acknowledgement of our products. This is why we need to make them known, because it is a treasure of a heritage that are the Spanish foods towards the entire world. The livestock farmers' work all of this knowledge and experience is summed up in the most advanced technique, so that our improved genetics programs become a different reference. This is why we must celebrate the mission organized by Sportgel and Livestock Genetics from Spain. We have total trust. We are convinced of the quality of our livestock genetics and its huge potential in international markets. A key role is played by livestock associations, and there's a technical guarantee by a cast of professionals, veterinarian professionals, agricultural engineers, and geneticists. Genetic markers are fully extended. We count on numerous centers distributed throughout Spain and dedicated to collecting data for the best, efficient, and sustainable animals from the productive point of view. The Centers of Expertise of Genetics condense all the work in terms of genetic and productive control and make available to livestock farmers knowledge on the most adequate breeding animals to be exploited. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food supports the scientific advancement incorporated in the last few years, totally developed here in dairy cattle and sheep cattle. Last but not least, in this system of genetic improvement, we count with organisms like RFEAGAS, the Royal Spanish Federation of Select Livestock, which sets the efforts of a great number of livestock farmers and breeders. Thanks to RFEAGAS, we have the initiative of projects like the one that is introduced today in the framework of Salamaq 21. To internationalize our livestock genetics, and at the same time being able to develop a success value and a reference beyond our borders. We hope that from the platform Livestock Genetics from Spain, we can appreciate the important advancements in terms of genetic improvements that we have done here in Spain. We are very proud of our breeds and their excellent features, and we believe they can add great benefits to the livestock breeders and farmers of other countries. Thank you so much for being here and participating in this important livestock meeting in the south of Spain. Thank you to all professionals that make out of our livestock breeds an acknowledged international pride. Thank you very much. I wish you the best here in this meeting and the best success in our international projection. The session is inaugurated. We're going to start with the first presentation. We are going to start speaking on the session divided in two blocks. The first part has 4 presentations or speeches, and then a last part with a round table. There is another session in a few hours, and we will have some time for questions. You can also ask questions through social media. And we invite you to send questions also via email. As we have said, we are starting with the first presentation called Internationalization, a conjoint internationalization success cases, introduced by Mr. Jesús Centenera, CEO of Ageron International. There's something missing here, a tool that is not valid for this presentation today. The booth is hearing very bad sound quality and will try to convey the message as best that they can. Sorry, we are having some live problems here. Some fonts are still being downloaded here. It's blocked now. It's frozen. Well, I'm not really worried. Since I have the spirit of a bull, it does not matter. First of all, quería decir bienvenidos a los invitados extranjeros. Welcome to all that are here from the trade mission. We are here to let you know about Spanish genetics. We have been working for a few years in an international plan with a lot of operation and not a lot of strategy to show people what we're doing. We have a problem that is common in Spain. We do things very well, but sometimes we are ashamed because we're not extraordinary. If we have a sustained care for animals in time, in a big cabin, imagine you are in a province with a few thousand inhabitants with a few thousand cattle heads. This isn't about FEAGAS. This is about many generations and genetics. There's a more delicate point in the whole value chain. What was failing was that we were not able to coordinate. And I remember after the first plan to the ministry, they said, oh, maybe you could do something better, more in detail. With the need to cooperate, the project started about 3 years ago, right, Manuel? Yeah, with the first phase 4 years almost. And the element that we included was that if you have a good product, why don't you sell it well? It's a problem of genetic quality? No. Is it a problem on the livestock farmers? No. Is it a problem with associations? No. A lot of associations were selling to foreign countries. We needed to work together to promote the image of pure breed genetic quality here in Spain. One of the first discussions that I had with a colleague, and a colleague said, it seems that you're saying that FEAGAS didn't do anything. No, I never said that. I think it has a very important role to play. And the Pure Breed Association, ASEAGUA, called me, and other 3 associations with FEAGAS worked together to establish the basis of a platform. And now we can count on 12 associations with the best exports. And one of the things that I always said was, let's try and not reinvent the wheel. What we did first was doing like the Japanese. Let's copy them. Let's see what they are doing. They're one of the world leaders. Let's see what the Italians are doing. Let's see what the English are doing. And then we systematically looked at what they were doing with intellectual humility, thinking we are not the best. Some people do things that we do not. Let's learn from them. Starting from an excellent genetics and a very high professional. For us, it's very important to have the information that manages us to get to know the information in our sector. The first is a datum that shows the great diversity that we do have. Here we have in Spain over 4.5 million animals from different genetics, 45 different breeds, and as you can see, different productive attitudes. So a great portfolio of genetics to offer, from porcine, dairy cattle, sport, and even a Lydia breed, which is a particular breed. We have animal science based on the best latest techniques. Another datum that we need to highlight is that the genealogic data are not based only on farmers. There are molecular evidences that are showing if the affiliation is real or not. If we don't have a contrasted genealogy, we won't be able to trust our sources. As you can see, in 2019, we executed 155 DNA analysis. These analyses are in goat and sheep breeds. This is where it's harder to have a trustful genealogy. We have breeds like the Manchega one that has 102 animals that are... We have other attitudes and species in which it is easier to control genealogy. But we deeply trust this kind of molecular analysis. What is the final result? We have 2 million animals in Spain with genetic information, which is an assurance for the farmers. It's quite divided here. In the sectors, genetic improvement is relevant. Even in some, like the case of dairy goats, which isn't very developed in other countries, such as also dairy sheep. Who does this? Who participates? At the national level, 20,000 farms. We have worked a lot with this with dairy cattle. Generally, farmers for sport don't have a lot of animals. There are farmers and farms that have not been participating in genetic improvement. A lot of farms of dairy goats and dairy sheep are now working on genetic improvement. Also, new technologies. People have betted in adding genomic information to breeding programs. This participation is higher in dairy cattle or porcine. But we have also run an important number of analyses in bovine breeding. Over 35,000 analyses have been run in a unique year. Looking at the general panorama, I would like to highlight 3 aspects. 1, the control of dairy production. We have a very strict program for this kind of information. We analyze 5 million samples a year. There's a lot of effort collecting the samples and analyzing them. So we collect samples every 4 weeks. It's a very intense collecting here. Not many countries do that. And also 365 people participating in this are our greatest capital. This allows us to do a great work in Parda, for instance. Within cattle, we have breeds like Assaf, that produce 500 liters yearly. And we can see in native breeds, such as the Manchega one. We also have goat breeds, like the Malagaña from Malaga, with a production up to 700 liters of high quality. Something unique from our program is the genetic resistance against disease. This happened after the mad cow disease that wants to improve the resistance to strabies. It started in 2005. Here, the year of birth of the animals that participated in the program. Observe the graphic here. In green, we have the animals that have resistant or semi-resisting genomes. And from 2007 onwards, there's an increase. So 85% of the breeds participating in this have some resistance. I also think this is a bonus to our genetic quality. We will be able to purchase animals that are resistant against disease. Lastly, we have a huge production capacity here to seminal breeds. This is important to guarantee, but at international level, embryos are important. In porcine, we produce many million doses. Bovines are about 3 million here, and we also have it for goats and sheep. We have several authorizations of centers, and an important piece of data is that the law that we apply to these centers are the same laws applying to intracommunitary trade activity. We have the same level of norms, so the centers are prepared to compete at the European level and at the international level. Given all that, these are my conclusions. The conclusions on the improvement of genetics here in Spain. We have an excellent health situation in our country for the development of breeding and also for exporting genetic material. And we also have an ample genetic variety in quantity and in diversity to develop the programs. Programs developed by breeder associations. They are the main protagonists. But they direct and coordinate an integrated system, very specialized one, and highly trained professionally. Administratively speaking, we apply regulations that are very strict. We control and we develop this activity. We also promote this activity. We control genetics and we collect data that are very, very trustworthy. We bet on the introduction of the latest technical novelties like genomes. And breeder associations don't only pay attention to production, they go beyond. They look for efficiency in production. We also have a diversified offer, supply. And lastly, Manuel, to conclude and not go beyond, a positive message. This image represents Spain in the last few years. We had a great sporting success, especially in football, in 2010. The conclusion is that we are good football players. This is an image of the European confrontation here in 2013. We were European champions. As a conclusion is that for us, we breed quite well. That's our conclusion. Having said that, thank you very much. This was very important to give a general overview of everything we do in Spain in terms of genetic improvement. Lastly, to
that all the different things that we want to provide towards the future, this platform will have the support of the Royal Federation of Select Genetics, and we expect to have the support from the Ministry, ICEX, and all this information. For instance, in the case of ICEX, we also have an umbrella brand for Food of Spain and Wines of Spain, and they requested documentation of that umbrella brand for Spanish genetics, which is really important to go outside hand by hand with them. And without further ado, we go to the next speaker, who will be Fernando Tejerina. We are going a bit fast, but it's true that we want to have a discussion panel that we think is going to be very important and very interesting, so everyone can participate, or the ones who are going to participate. And now, the next presentation is a Spanish genetic improvement, and it's going to be presented by Mr. Fernando Tahirina, Spanish Ministry of Agriculture. And I really appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you all. Manuel, thank you. Manuel, and thank you, RFEAGAS, for inviting me to this day. We believe from the Ministry that it's really necessary to be able to provide our experience and what we've been doing regarding cattle genetic improvement. And this is the best place for our foreign visitors at the Salamaq fair, where they're not only going to be able to see this fair, but a live result of the work from the different breeders' associations. The challenge you provided is not a small one, because in 20 minutes I'm going to have to describe a system that is really complex, quite diverse, and with results that are very good for our livestock sector. To organize my talk, I'm going to have a small introduction with two basic principles on which Spanish genetics improves, how we organize that genetic improvement, and as my minister was saying, it's basically goes to breeders association. We also have a role as administration, and then with current situation and with some information that where I try to include this, but we're talking about general information and specific information where the breeders association will be able to provide a lot more information than I do. And finally, conclusions, which are my conclusions, the ones from Fernando Tejerina. First, why genetic improvement? Why breeding programs? Because in Spain and any country in the world, cattle production has 5 pillars. First, health. First, always health. Then, food and handling, genetics, and reproduction. Genetics is to answer a basic question as what are the animals I want to have the best productive or economic output. So I'm going to talk about genetics, but before talking about that, I would like to talk about health, because without health on the exploitations, we're not going to be able to have a genetic improvement program, and we're not going to be able to choose anything. And if we don't have health at a country level, no, we're not going to be able to export anything either. In that sense, I believe we are very lucky, because the work from the livestock sector and the work from people working on animal health made us have a very good sanitary health status, and we were able to get rid of some diseases, and we eradicated brucellosis or tuberculosis. So when we export genetics, we are not going to export just quality, we're also going to export safety, because the health situation allows for that. The next basic aspect, which is that we have a wide base to be able to choose from, and it's elementary. If you don't have a wide range of choosing, you're not going to be able to choose anything, and we have a lot, but we also have genetic diversity, the different orography we have in Spain, the different types of productions, and our history. We had different people coming through here, and some lived their cattle. So we have 165 autochthonous races. These are the ones that participate, and we have races that are for meat production, like Asturiana de Valles or Bubia Gallega, more for breeding on difficult terrains like Avileño Retinta. In the desert, we have some of the Iberian quality and marine, which open internationalization of our genetics. All international marines come from our DSs in Extremadura. It's not like we're new in this, because we started centuries ago. The purebred Spanish probably is the one that is more recognized. We have other ones like Spanish Arab, which participate in that internationalization process. And our big treasure, dairy goats with high production and adapted to difficult means with arid or semi-arid. We have Malagueña or Florida, among others. We have islands, and we also have, therefore, endemic races for that habitat, like Menorquina, and then everything related to mesetas and Great Valles. The big denominators are ovine. And this is the Manchega as well. And all these autochthonous races, we have international races which are more powerful. We could talk about Frisona, Limousin, Chevrolet, but also about Assaf, our special Frisona, or Arab horse. So we have those basic principles, health and safety, for genetic improvement. And who does that? Is done by the very livestock sector, and breed association are the main pillar for that genetic improvement. Livestock sector have their own breeding program, they have goals, criteria, and they provide resources. And that's a recipe for success. And they see what are the real and they're going to coordinate the different actors around them. This is the one which provides data, and they're going to provide a final decision for that. All this work is work, and we see the animals on the shows, but the livestock sector provides all the productive and genealogical information, and technicians from the association support that, and it's really important from the technical point, but also in that gathering of information, which is quite intense at the phenotypical level. Within our area, we have people which are more and more important, which is molecular genetics laboratory, and they're in charge of ensuring through molecular markers filiations, paternities and maternities. So all genealogical books have a collateral, have some are reliable. And then we have qualified center of genetics, which are of ministries or universities, and they get all those genealogical and production data and will provide livestock sector the information they want, the genetic value. Based on that, they're going to select this together with the reproduction centers, which allow us to have a more important diffusion of what happened and to participate in different tasks. As you see, it's a complex system, and our largest capital is human capital, because this requires a lot of skills. And as previous people already presented, we can internationalize and sell not only animals but also knowledge. Finally, those associations have entities as RFEAGAS in charge of providing under common umbrella support on projects as important as this one. What are administrations good for here? 3 main activities: ordination, control, and promotion. Regulation, which is the European regulation, which is the strictest, the most strict at the global level. We have our own regulation, we have our own instruments, a national committee where all public administrations coordinate. We have a races catalog to know which are the ones that can develop preservation and improvement programs, and then we have activities like authorizations of breeders and authorization of breeding programs. So what associations did have to do that, and they have to continue, and that's come from health regulation. And at the national level, as we know, they are important, both genetics laboratories. We also provide inspection for that. So we don't do, but we provide legal and technical guarantee for what is done. And they have a basic instrument, which is ACA, which is the so-technical database. And in that database, we include information of all different actors participating in the system. We analyze, and the decisions we take, we try to make it good in that data, that all decisions are made based on data. And we have a principle, which is the transparency principle. So all information in this database can be consulted if there's no regulation of private information or company information, which is quite reduced. And all the information I'm going to provide is in ACA that I can present, but you can also have access to. What other 2 activities had? Control. We have an official control plan where administrations control and verify that all breeding programs are happening. And this was 2016 European regulation, but historically for 40 years we had the race inspector. Which is recognized on the butcher format and pre-cook, and that's what a foreigner would look for in our race. Miguel Angel. Why to trust the Florida race? For instance, because it was the only race at the European level which went from being at a danger of extinction to be fine. So it has a lot of potential, it's stable at the production level, and it has a lot of quality. There was less and less cows, and now they are the ones that are growing fastest. It's the only European race that went from danger of extinction to being fine. Talking about goats, Murciano-granadina, what caprine can provide? Contrast genetics is a guarantee of a race that has been working over 20 years in genetics, and that are going to guarantee an efficient business, which is quite complex, and to have animals that at the end of the day are the ones that are going to give you that. So it's very important. Quick story: when we went to the visit, they said 2 brothers who were saying on Murciano-granadina, they were saying, I cannot believe the dairy production you have, because they were in charge of production less than 5 years, and it was for genetic improvement, everything that was work. And that I was talking about that construct health with a guaranteed genetics makes a business to be able to work properly. Fernando, we're going to talk about Assaf is the best ovine at the global level. It's on the record, it's transparent. Health, as I was saying, and they were saying in the ministry, is guaranteed. Production is also guaranteed, and it's the ANCCE. Of course, I cannot tell you let you talk a lot about purebred in Spain because you're leaders and you can talk in years, but why to buy equine breed, purebred? They're international livestock members from the livestock sector that can provide, and it's of course very good quality, and the beauty of course since forever, but especially the head and how versatile they are, the very good attitude, all the things they can learn. José Teodorico. We can improve the quality of meat, mainly the Melona grays. They have a ovine which has good meat with less fat, so it would improve productivity for farmers as well. If they get more meat with less fat, they could be more expensive. The work that we're doing is to improve. We cannot hear the speaker, we apologize. Okay, so an open question, and you can answer in whatever the order you want. The question is, do you only sell animals, do you only sell genetics? At RFEAGAS we have got questions from farmers, and I'm remembering one from Ukraine saying that they wanted to start, say we need information, we need training. So, further to selling animals or genetics, can you provide any kind of support for production? They ask about the handling. So animals will say, don't take so many animals, take a lot less and learn how to handle them. Muchos dicen que necesitan menos cantidad de animales, pero que necesitan formarlos de la mejor forma. Anything else? Yeah, we have races from Romania. They take just a few animals, but they have a consultant. A lot of countries ask to have a consultant. What's clear for us is that the handling and the know-how that you consultants say in Spain is the number one at a global level on dairy cattle, dairy goat, and that's what they ask. And colleagues from Uzbekistan, this delegation is coming from the knowledge from Spain, so it's not only the animals but also knowledge. Anyone else about this? I think it's also important that our clients know that they have access to all our knowledge to grow as much as they can, because quite often we lost sound there for a minute. So we like this inverse missions, more or less ambitious, because rather to be a commercial tool is also something that can strengthen the relationship, which is not just genetics. It's going to provide the ability for the project. Are you still in contact with people to you whom you have sell animals? Yes, the project, it helps a lot. We cannot hear the speaker right now, the sound is not good. There's a lot of lack of knowledge regarding European health demands, especially so we can help them to understand what are the limitations, because countries like Greece with their strong caprine, but they don't know the limitations about that. I like about Fernando's presentation when before talking about genetics or handling, let's talk about health, because this is key and this is one of the presentation cards, the business cards. We're talking about bovine and caprine. They don't have the necessary knowledge, this phenotypic genetic plus environment, because otherwise it will not happen, it will be counterproductive. So it's very important to guarantee the genetics to be expressed in perfect conditions, to guarantee that the handling is the right one, so these animals are expressed in the best possible way, and the client has the satisfaction of having that. Of the productions we have here, which are very good, but unfortunately if we don't have these conditions, that will not happen. I go to Retinta because I want to ask a different question. So Teodorico, we're talking about whether to have a relationship. You're in Brazil, you're buying Retinta here, do you still support? How does that go, that permanent relationship? We cannot hear the Brazilian speaker, we apologize. The association improved a lot, he appears to be saying. And I participated in that project as well. So we had something in Minas Gerais and we had other things. And they started to talk about cattle on shop, but in Minas Gerais, and we have breeders over here. They had a different campaign, and it improved. But after 2 or 3 years, and then they kill it. 2 farmers are continuing with that. Okay, thank you, Arantxa. I'll leave you to the end because, no whether you have associations of purebred, Spanish purebred in different countries. So you have permanent consulting. I know they're in Russia, and we have colleagues from Russia. And in different countries, Russia is very present. So how is that permanent support relationship rather to selling genetic material or livestock? Yeah, that's the base to have success of Spanish purebred. We're in 66 countries right now breeding Spanish purebred. We work on countries where there are more farmers, with the cooperating entities that are from that, so from the US, and we have enough animals so we can have an association. And that's very much related with everyone, not just production, but services, genealogical services and breeding programs. So what they have is access to the same part of our computer program where he can just have access to the farmers from their country. So what happens that they provide all kinds of services, not just assessment, but also participation, morphologic contents, and the same conditions that are provided here. Meaning when we use veterinaries from the US to the US association, that blood comes to Spain as well. So in our own genetic molecular laboratory, all pure Spanish purebred come here. They have the genotypes, 100% of them, and we issue the passport here, which is another very important thing. The ID of the horses, and they have the same passport format in all countries in the world. When you have a Spanish purebred horse, you identify perfectly the passport, and from having all DNA samples in Spain and different laboratories, that it would help a lot sending semen to different countries. Why? Because in the past it was one laboratory in the US, another one in France, another one in Spain. So if a semen was sent from one place or the other, those DNA was missing. And there was a lot of delay just regarding DNA. Since 2006, we are centralizing those samples here, and that's just in countries where there are enough animals, and which are 20 of them. On the rest of the 46, we handle it from the Central Genealogical Office. When you talk about this laboratory, I was lucky enough to see your laboratory because you invited me, the one from Saga in Asturias as well. So what does your laboratory do? What do they do? Because I think about foreign buyer and say, okay, I want to guarantee. In some countries it was not good. So if you say that you're going to have this productivity, how do you guarantee that? How can I see that? What do you see? How can you guarantee that? We select, and the tool for that, the best tool we have for that and to improve that, it's insemination. So that product that is going to travel 30 kilometers, so 3,000 kilometers from the laboratory, has to be very fertile and with all guarantee that they can have within the laboratory. I would also like to take this opportunity to reinforce the idea of the country's health status. Last week there was a case where someone wanted to bring it from South America to bring that to Europe. So that's something I had no doubt about it, but the health status is helping a lot with that. Thank you, Javier. Miguel Angel with caprine and fluoride with Murciano-granadina. How do you guarantee that what you're buying is good, has a quality? How do you handle that? So it's a bit what he was saying. We have our own instruction. We have over 60 breeders, and that guarantees not only the genetic improvement program, the breeding program, where insemination helps a lot with that, but it also helps to export that genetics with proper health to say that this has the right price nearly for free because it's being commercialized outside, and they would finance internal insemination. We cannot hear whoever's talking, sorry about that. The value of the animal, he seems to be saying, and it's backed up by laboratories, but ACA, and it's really good. And the price level, it has value. I guess you have a good system set up to guarantee traceability and fiability. Yeah, we're implementing a blockchain system, as Maria mentioned before, with some products like wine access, where it says that any thing that happens for the animal.
And this first block of presentations, let's end the block with the speech, The Role of ICEX in the Promotion and International Trading of Spanish Genetics, by Dr. María Naranjo, General Director of Food, Wine and Gastronomy, ICEX Spain, Exports and Investment. She has participated in this project since the beginning. Her support has been absolutely essential. Thank you very much, Manuel, for inviting me to participate in this session. I have to say that today is a very important day to me. I am the granddaughter and the daughter of a veterinarian, grandfather, and today is the first time that I am here in this kind of fair. I'm very proud of being here. I was impressed. And well, I need to thank RFEAGAS for being here. And I believe, from what I see, after I heard the Ministry of Agriculture, all its work, and the work that since the first moment I saw RFEAGAS do, all this work is very basic for the sector to become international. Les doy las bienvenidas a nuestros invitados internacionales hoy. Estoy muy feliz de que podáis visitar España, visitar esta exposición tan importante. Okay, let me switch to Spanish because I would also like to convey some messages to some farmers that I'm sure are here today with us, that can see us, of course, on the seminar that is being recorded. I will be brief because I know I don't have much time. And I don't wish to rob any second from the very interesting roundtable we have. I would like to convey some messages. The first message I'd like to launch that showcases the importance of this kind of program links with what Jesús was saying beforehand. Concerns the growth of these curves, how the exports of animals have increased here in the world, Spanish animals, and the second, all of this concerns growth rates, because of course the volumes of millions of euros managed by Spain are still quite small, but see here the evolution of genetic material. You see that since the creation of Subsporgen project in 2017, exports are multiplying constantly. I'm not saying that it's all Sporhem, but the fact of having a common goal that strengthens the image of Spanish genetics in the world is paramount. And in the end, it is a joint work of the farmers that believe in it and institutions like the Ministry of Agriculture that are behind promoting it and supporting, of course, all of this growth. Two very important elements mentioned by Jesús, and Manuel as well, is the fact of having information and training. On top of being a granddaughter of a veterinarian, I am the daughter of people working in pharmacy. We need to teach. We all need to be proud of the genetics we have and the exemplary animals that we have to sell beyond our borders. You see the data of live animals and where we are exporting them. We see that there's market concentration, especially in genetics. Bovine genetics, for instance, is what we're selling. And here we start with ICEX's work. I don't know if you're familiar with ICEX. I don't stop repeating it because there's so many people in the administration. It is the state body within the Ministry of Industry and Trade that supports the internationalization of all Spanish companies. In my case, Manuel was introducing me, but from the 1st of September, I have a different job. I have the pride of representing the entire food chain. I'm the director of the food industry, and I need to support exporters of live animals until those of dehydrated alfalfa, wine, and cheese, and all of the best sector of Spain, from my point of view at least. And we always continue, such as in other sector, we follow a triple axis, market diversification, because over 70% still of our products are exported to the European Union. So we need to differentiate it, which in comes the excellence, which is key for the Svorgem project, and digitalization every time becomes more important. And of course, this has been showcased by the pandemic. There are two X's that coincide very importantly in the case of a project like Svorgem, which concerns sustainability and innovation, which becomes more and more important. And the engagement we have is very clear. And we also have the food and gastronomy here, ANCCCE, which has weight in our food industry. And the fact of knowing how in a Spain that is so diverse, with such diverse animals, all of this is well known because of the visits made to Spain. How do we support ICEX with the companies that want to become international and to the livestock sector in particular? The first thing we should mention is that in ICEX, public work officials have a network than over 100 offices throughout the world. And in the pandemic, it wants to be your eyes, your hands, and all you may need, and it is at your service. You need to take advantage of it, and we have many tools of information, promotion, and support to all of you. To start the ICEX portal, I don't know if you were all registered there, but I would recommend you to do so. To have access, for instance, is the over 1,500 market case studies of many products. Many of them concern, thanks to you, the reports on genetic material, for instance, are included there. We have many webinars. One telephone service, you just call that number, and in less than 24 hours, you will get the information requested. It is absolutely free. Before, Jesús and Manuel was mentioning, and you were mentioning as well, what's most important is human capital. We make available to internationalized Spanish companies several young people that have been trained throughout the network and that are completely available to you. The program of internships in companies allows them to train for a year with you, and we pay 50% of what they need. We have personalized services in those offices that help you prepare an agenda or anything in any market, and a program to help you establish an internationalization strategy for 3 years. They offer you 20,000 euros to support, but they also support you throughout 3 years, which I believe is paramount. We have many programs in which I won't insist. Programs of sector support from kaki here, dehydrated alfalfa, medicinal marijuana as well. We are insisting a little bit on that one. And a platform for international professionals, which has a section that wants to value innovation, and genetic innovation belongs there. Speaking to Leonor and to Manuel to write up a report on all the work done from the administration and the sectors in genetic innovation so that everyone gets to know this. And indeed, this portal receives over 400,000 international visits yearly. It is a window for all of those international visitors and all the international professionals to get to know this. COVID has had a clear impact, we have seen, on all our works. We have had to reconvert because we weren't able to travel. So we have done several webinars, and we have importantly worked with the sectors to be able to continue to influence the markets. We have worked, I have to say, that the collaboration with the ministries has been paramount. A very important work with other of Leonor's colleagues of the general direction of the food industry is that the campaign Street Food Nation is present in the platform, and it has highlighted the role of the food chain with great doses of solidarity throughout the pandemic. When we were all locked down, the food chain that was present there gave some solidarity. It transformed the industry. So, for example, wine producers produced hydrogels instead of wine. among other examples. We have worked on a world campaign on over 20 markets for people to know that not only do we have excellent products, but that our food sector is here the pantry of the whole world, not only of Europe. We will continue this campaign throughout the world. In these new trends, some of them touch directly on genetics and exports of the animal sector, such as the follow-up and traceability. Blockchain is going to be a revolution, for example, to determine the origin of animals. All in innovation, sustainability, frameworked as an axis of European politics. And getting closer to the food chains. All in all, creating a powerful brand that distinguishes us as a country. This is also something Jesús was saying. From the central administration, many times we do see we need to explain to a Chinese person what's a Riojan wine. Isn't it easier for them to understand the wealth that wines from Spain mean, and then explaining the difference between Albarino wines or Rueda wines, for instance? We believe that we need to potentialize this with a powerful brand, like the ones that you are building in genetics. And from ICEX, we will support, no doubt.
A quick story. When we went to the visit, they said two brothers who was saying on Murciano-granadina, they were saying, I cannot believe the dairy production you have, because they were in charge of production less than 5 years, and it was for genetic improvement, everything that was work. And that I was talking about that construct health with a guarantee genetics makes a business to be able to work properly. Fernando, we're going to talk about Assaf is the best ovine at the global level. It's on the record, it's transparent. Health, as I was saying, and they were saying in the ministry, is guaranteed. Production is also guaranteed, and it's the ANCCE. Of course, I cannot let you talk a lot about purebred in Spain, because you're leaders and you can talk in years, but why to buy equine breed, purebred? They're international livestock members from the livestock sector that can provide, and it's of course very good quality, and the beauty, of course, since forever, but especially the head and how versatile they are, the very good attitude, all the things they can learn. José Teodorico. We can improve the quality of meat, mainly the Melona grass. They have a ovine which has good meat with less fat, so it would improve productivity for farmers as well. If they get more meat with less fat, they could be more expensive. And the work that we're doing is to improve. We cannot hear the speaker, we apologize. Okay, so an open question, and you can answer in whatever order you want. The question is, do you only sell animals, do you only sell genetics? At RFEAGAS we have got questions from farmers, and I'm remembering one from Ukraine saying that they wanted to start, say we need information, we need training. So, further to selling animals or genetics, can you provide any kind of support for production? They ask about the handling. So animals will say, don't take so many animals, take a lot less, and learn how to handle them. Muchos dicen que necesitan menos cantidad de animales, pero que necesitan formarlos de la mejor forma. Anything else? Yeah, we have races from Romania. They take just a few animals, but they have a consultant. A lot of countries ask to have a consultant. What's clear for us is that the handling and the know-how that you consultants say in Spain is the number one at a global level on dairy cattle, dairy goat, and that's what they ask. And colleagues from Uzbekistan, this delegation is coming from the knowledge from Spain, so it's not only the animals but also knowledge. Anyone else about this? I think it's also important that our clients know that they have access to all our knowledge to grow as much as they can, because quite often we lost sound there for a minute. So we like this inverse missions, more or less ambitious, because rather to be a commercial tool is also something that can strengthen the relationship, which is not just genetic. It's going to provide the ability for the project. Are you still in contact with people whom you have sell animals? Yes, the project, it helps a lot. We cannot hear the speaker right now, the sound is not good. There's a lot of lack of knowledge regarding European health demands, especially so we can help them to understand what are the limitations, because countries like Greece with their strong caprine, but they don't know the limitations about that. I like about Fernando's presentation when before talking about genetics or handling, let's talk about health, because this is key and this is one of the presentation cards, the business cards. We're talking about bovine and caprine. They don't have the necessary knowledge, this phenotypic genetic plus environment, because otherwise it will not happen, it will be counterproductive. So it's very important to guarantee the genetics to be expressed in perfect conditions, to guarantee that the handling is the right one, so these animals are expressed in the best possible way, and the client has the satisfaction of having that, of the productions we have here, which are very good. But unfortunately, if we don't have these conditions, that will not happen. I go to Retinta because I want to ask a different question. So Teodorico, we're talking about whether to have a relationship. You're in Brazil, you're buying Retinta here, do you still support? How does that go, that permanent relationship? We cannot hear the Brazilian speaker, we apologize. The association improved a lot, he appears to be saying. And I participated in that project as well. So we had something in Minas Gerais and we had other things. And they started to talk about cattle on shop, but in Minas Gerais, and we have breeders over here. They had a different campaign and it improved. But after 2 or 3 years, and then they kill it. 2 farmers are continuing with that. Okay, thank you, Arantxa. I'll leave you to the end because, there you have associations of purebred, Spanish purebred in different countries. So you have permanent consulting. I know they're in Russia, and we have colleagues from Russia. And in different countries, Russia is very present. So how is that permanent support relationship rather to selling genetic material or livestock? yeah, that's the base to have success of Spanish purebred. We're in 66 countries right now breeding Spanish purebred. We work on countries where there are more farmers, with the cooperating entities that are from that, so from the US, and we have enough animals so we can have an association. And that's very much related with everyone, not just production, but services, genealogical services, and breeding programs. So what they have is access to the same part of our computer program where he can just have access to the farmers from their country. So what happens that they provide all kinds of services, not just assessment, but also participation, morphologic contents, and the same conditions that are provided here. Meaning when we use veterinaries from the US to the US association, that blood comes to Spain as well. So in our own molecular genetic molecular laboratory, all pure Spanish purebred come here. They have the genotypes, 100% of them, and we issue the passport here, which is another very important thing. The ID of the horses, and they have the same passport format in all countries in the world. When you have a Spanish purebred horse, you identify perfectly the passport, and from having all DNA samples in Spain and different laboratories, that it would help a lot sending semen to different countries. Why? Because in the past it was one laboratory in the US, another one in France, another one in Spain. So if a semen was sent from one place or the other, those DNA was missing, and there was a lot of delay just regarding DNA. Since 2006 we are centralizing those samples here, and that's just in countries where there are enough animals, and which are 20 of them. On the rest of the 46 we handle it from the Central Genealogical Office. When you talk about this laboratory, I was lucky enough to see your laboratory because you invited me, the one from Saga in Asturias as well. So what does your laboratory do? What do they do? Because I think about foreign buyer and say, okay, I want to guarantee. In some countries it was not good. So if you say that you're going to have this productivity, how do you guarantee that? How can I see that? What do you see? How can you guarantee that? We select, and the tool for that, the best tool we have for that and to improve that, it's insemination. So that product that is going to travel 30 kilometers, so 3,000 kilometers from the laboratory, has to be very fertile and with all guarantee that they can have within the laboratory. I would also like to take this opportunity to reinforce the idea of the country's health status. Last week there was a case where someone wanted to bring it from South America to bring that to Europe. So that's something I had no doubt about it, but the health status is helping a lot with that. Thank you, Javier. Miguel Angel with caprine and fluoride with Murciano-granadina. How do you guarantee that what you're buying is good, has a quality? How do you handle that? So it's a bit what he was saying. We have our own instruction. We have over 60 breeders, and that guarantees not only the genetic improvement program, the breeding program, where insemination helps a lot with that, but it also helps to export that genetics with proper health to say that this has the right price nearly for free because it's being commercialized outside, and they would finance internal insemination. We cannot hear whoever's talking, sorry about that. The value of the animal, he seems to be saying, and it's backed up by laboratories, but ACA, and it's really good. And the price level, it has value. I guess you have a good system set up to guarantee traceability and fiability. Yeah, we're implementing a blockchain system, as Maria mentioned before, with some products like wine access, where it says that any thing that happens for the animal is there and it's recorded. So you can see with the electronic chip, and you start the dairy productions, and you have the paternity test and the pedigree on the side. So each one knows that the animal, not just the parents upstream, are guaranteed at the levels of grandparents and great grandparents. Everything that happens in the animal is recorded. And something I wanted to say, another product we sell, about what Maria was saying, but they're asking more and more genetic tests at the international level, meaning farmers have spotted animals and they want to guarantee it with genomics, and they want to guarantee that they have a specific quality. And if the horse can do that, with blood tests from farmers who want to guarantee that their animals, and they want to know their genetic value with the DNA system and genomic tests, we are doing that. And this is like updating software either with semen or update software with a genomic test. In Brazil, this is something very important, all this safety and quality. Do they ask for that? Guarantee that these are the parents, these are the great grandparents, and that you have this recorded in a country like yours? Is it good enough for it to work? Or they wanted to have it in a record and to work properly, so you have guarantees that it's not a fraud. Again, we cannot hear the Brazilian colleague. The very market is demanding that increase in quality, seems to be saying. And it needs to have some credentials from the ministry, apparently. I have a final question, so although I will allow you to have some final comment. Is it worth it to go through the association? Because some people say, well, it's going to be more expensive. You want to go to a farmer and say, no, I can go through a consultant, I can go through an association. What does the association give that can help? And how can it help? How can it provide guarantee? In my case, specific case, we're talking about semen, and when you talk on semen leaves the country, because Asturiana has a laboratory, which is the one selling through all farmers, right? We have different ways of communicating, but when we're talking about going abroad, of course it needs to have all sanitary papers, and within the race, animals have their genetic testing available, and that has sufficient value, and it has to come from the association. In the case of Valles, for Florida, well, anyone had contact with the importer, they have different information, and it's what they're using. They provide consultancy, especially at the guarantee level and quality level. Javier? Foreign commerce usually has a volume, an imported volume, and usually a farmer cannot provide enough animals for any country because the conditions are very complex. Health conditions are more and more complex, and other efforts are made. And it's not just about your country, it's also from the destination country and the way to handle export with the right animals or guarantee from the health and genetics point of view. It's difficult from just one farmer. In your case, Assaf, Fernando, I see three reasons. As they say, it's like buying a car from a dealer or from a private person. You have different guarantees. Second, the association with genetic improvement is being done from the all of them, and these are the ones who provide the who manage to do that. So you can update software with genetic, with similar, with genomic analysis, with consultant and support to the different farms. So it's the different as buying at the association level or the specific at a particular level. And if you look at the hive, the association is to be financed. It's a non-profit, but it needs to have some money to be able to be sustainable and to invest. That's what one of the messages we sent when we launched Spurgeon and Livestock Genetics. The money we got from that, the small money we asked was to maintain the machinery. So RFEAGAS would not need that because it's working by itself. But in order to work and to have first missions and so on, to have that. At ANCCE again, but I wanted to talk about it. It's a different case from Federico. How Retinta is being sold, independent farmers association through you. How is that buying working of Retinta? Of genetic material, is that centralized, decentralized? How does that work? It's centralized with the Spanish Association, and it's distributed for, and we have monitored the performance. So we take in weight and dates, and all the information is from the association. Okay, thank you, ANCCE. You were against last because I understand that your case is the farmer doing that directly. But you are kind of support when you have direct sales of horse breeders. As an association, we don't intervene on sales. The farmer comes from abroad and contacts with the one from here, from the Spanish one. They negotiate, and we do not participate in that. Of course, we have a website portal where partners can advertise the horses, but it's just a web portal. What we do is through the molecular laboratory, genetic molecular laboratory. We don't sell semen, we just have a laboratory with a genotype in 100% of the herd. And we provide a service which in just not a long time, it's available. We're going to start with genomics. It's a bit behind on bovine and ovine. But as part of the services we are offering to the farmers. But as we have all 260,000 animals centralized, so when we have the horse chip prepared, we have to prepare it because the one we have is very expensive. That's going to be really good. But regarding management between particulars, we do not intervene. It's true that one of the problems, and after so many years of exporting, everything is a lot better, is the sanitary condition on the destination country, because with Mexico we've done a lot, with the US, with Costa Rica, but we start opening a new market. It's really difficult because you have to negotiate and you have to send sanitary personnel and you have to negotiate a lot. So you want to export a horse and to open a new market, which is one of the goals that we had from Exportgen, which we think was obvious with the US and Mexico. What we try to do was to get to the farmer, because that market is very open, but what is difficult is to get to the specific farmer. Associations help a lot, but we have so many farmers. That's one of our points. It's not so much open in the US or Mexico, but to reach to the specific farmer to have the information. We went and tried to open new markets, and one of the problems we had was that the sanitary conditions. Let's take the opportunity that we have the ministry here because they are helping us, but on the different races and different groups and different societies have different needs, and we know the mystery is there, but again, we have to ask for you to continue supporting us in this work. As somewhere that you know that rather to our website, this marketplace, this great page, is a bit of meeting point, although the very marketplace, we are selling that, and it goes to association with providing information about production capacity, each of the different technical things, technical records they can provide, and they can help you with that. So please, let's give them an applause. And now I'm gonna call on each of our different guests, and we're gonna give them a little gift, and we're gonna take a picture. So first with them, don't move, because they're gonna take a picture of us first. So if you can remove your mask for the picture. They're saying something, but without a microphone it's really difficult to hear them. So again, an applause, thank you. And you have to go down there. So I'm gonna call our guest. Sergio Marco Antonio from Argentina, Marcelo Mastrobueno from Brazil, Raul Mora Silva from Brazil, Antonio Del Dago from Peru, I believe, Antonio? Hector Mario from Mexico, Maria Andrade, Natalia Korsikova, Susana Petrova, Israzia, and they're saying something in another language. People from Romania, please come here. Y la delegación de Uzbekistán. Y está mencionando los nombres ahora de los miembros de la delegación. And from Brazil, Hudson Armando Nunes and Hernan Dia from Peru. Should we all stay here behind, or? A line and then a second line, right? Can everyone fit in there? We cannot hear anything they're saying right now. We apologize. There's a lot of noise, so we cannot translate. We apologize for that.